Today's word is preen. 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 When you preen, you spend a lot of time making yourself look attractive and then admiring your appearance. Nurain, I'm sure you can give us an example for that.
Hey, stop preening yourself in front of the mirror. We don't have time.
That's exactly what they shout at me when I'm going to read the news.
Oh, sorry about that.
Preen.
And that's our word of the day. Quite an interesting one, isn't it? Well, you're welcome back to the show. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. Thank you very much for staying tuned. It's time for the breakfast review. I've got two of my guests already seated here in the studio, and so we'll start our discussions right away. Mr. Kwame Jantwa is here in the studio. Mr. Kwame Jantwa is a regular panelist on this show, especially on Tuesdays, and we're always very excited to have him here in the studio. He is a member of the Convention People's Party, and he is a legal practitioner as well. Mr. Kwame Jantwa, good morning.
Good morning.
I see you looking into the Constitution. What are you looking for in there?
I'm looking for an article. I'm not sure whether I found it. You said you're excited to see me every Tuesday.
Oh, really? Yes, I'm always excited.
It's not every day that mankind is, what do you call it? Anyway, it's life, so.
It's not every day that mankind is what?
It's not every day that mankind is balanced.
Why? What is happening? What is going on?
You know, some of us have been talking for a long time. 2006. But you find that the same old things are repeating. Sometimes you sit down and ask yourself, did I be a year? You know? It's challenging.
Do you not have hope that Ghana will get better?
I've always had hope. I have the hope it never dies. But then the drudgery of it, it takes too much time. And we don't seem to be learning from where we're coming from. That's where the challenge is for me. How can we go to IMF, 17 times?
Yes.
It goes to show you we are regurgitating a lot of things that we're doing. And there needs to be a leader that says, this has to stop. We need to have a leader. This has to stop. It can't go on. It's not helping the country. And if we don't stop this party first before country, then, you know, I shudder to think where we are heading for. And the young ones, what they are seeing with their young eyes, it's a challenge for me. It's a real challenge for me. You know, I've lived through Ghana's political settings.
Yes, you have.
I have. So I have seen how certain things were done once upon a time. And I've seen the midpoint of the coups, and I've seen how things are being done now. And the time of our fathers being ministers and, you know, running the government, you could see that the passion of patriotism was there. And they will fight for the country. They will do things that would, you know, bring the country up. Right now, that isn't there. You see, I was sitting down, it was on Saturday, and I was assessing this Brian Echampon's situation. And what came to me was that this is a huge opportunity for the leader to say, look, it is not an individual's interest that is most important. Most important thing is how do we develop that entire area for the betterment of our country? Can you imagine that Marine Drive project that started in Nkrumah's time? If a leader came and said, whatever the case is, that entire stretch between Labadi Beach or even further up, Teshi side there, all the way through to the central region. Let's develop it. It might take time, but let's make a conscious effort. Every government comes to develop it. Do you know the kind of tourism that will be attracted into this country? Then we are quibbling over what? An individual who is interested in buying a hotel on the beachfront. No. I ask myself, have we lost it? Because that isn't the essence. The essence is how you develop. Look at that building that has been standing next to Lantam. That tall building.
That tall abandoned
How
building.
long has it been there for?
There are all kinds of stories about
Yes.
that building. Don't even know
Why?
what's
Why?
going on there.
You're trying to tell me that our beachfront, we cannot develop our beachfront for tourism? We cannot do it? It's a leadership question. And it boggles my imagination. It really boggles my imagination. But this is Ghana. And then you see people cross over, go and do whatever they want to do and come back. I mean, beachfronts, go to certain countries, beachfronts, boy oh boy, beachfronts. So do we have the country at heart to develop it to a stage where we can also, bang our chest and say, yes, we've done it? Nigeria, they reclaimed land, Ikoyi, from the sea, reclaimed quite far back. And now go and look at what they've done to that land they reclaimed. And here in the Volta region, when you stand on the coast of Keta, it's the same coast as Spain when you look at it. Same coast as Spain. We can't develop it. It's actually, what is it doing? It's eating into the land. Some of the historic castles have been stolen by the sea, and no leader is interested. No. So you sit and you ask yourself, what's going on? See, we quibble over things like, oh, this one is my hotel. It's difficult.
Let me ask you again, Mr. Chancellor. Have you lost hope?
I can't lose hope. The day I lose hope, I'll leave this country. The day I lose hope, I will leave it. I still maintain the Ghanaian has it in him and her to change things. And it's not a question of only leadership. It's a question of the Ghanaian recognizing that things aren't going right and we should stand up and fight. What is happening in Kenya? Look at the young people, what they're doing in Kenya. They are putting their president, in a very, very, very compromising situation.
Protested to a point where he had to reverse a decision that was taken.
Yes. Are our young people in Ghana today ready to do that? Non-violent protest. Are they ready to? Do they understand what it means to fight for your country? Do they understand it? So let's see. Very soon I'll be an old man. Very soon I'll be an old man.
Maybe you should run for president.
It's not a question
Like
of
we've
me.
been suggesting.
It's not a question of me running for president. It's a question of us doing it together. That is where it is. We all have to see what is wrong, irrespective of which other party we support. If it is wrong, it is wrong. And we've got to be able to tell the powers that be, it is wrong. We've got to know how to speak to power. What you're doing is wrong. Whether I'm MPP, NDC, CPP, if the leaders of my party are doing something wrong, we need to be able to say it is wrong. It's got to stop. The blood that feeds that kind of actions that our leaders do, we should stop it. We should block that blood. And the blood is the people who are following them, because they know they'll get the support. They will. So it's up to us as a country to change things. We choose the leaders, don't we? It's up to us as a country to say, this can't happen again. And when we start it, we need to let the politicians know, the leaders know, that we are watching you. Try it again and see what will happen to you. But we relax. We started it. Galamsey, didn't we start? Media, didn't they start? What has happened to it? And it's continuing. It's spoiling our water bodies. It's continuing. Nobody says anything about it. So let's see. I haven't lost hope. I will do my bit, but my bit alone might not solve the problem. Collectively, yes, but me alone might not solve the problem. That's why I tell my party that it's not a question of CPP alone doing this. CPP has been out of government for how many years? It's up to the Nkrumah's movement to come to themselves and say, we need to come together as one and see how best we can also win power. Me, as one man, even if I stand as one man, I won't be able to change things. But collectively, if we do it on a collective basis, in this country, if we do things on a collective basis, where the president sees that something is going wrong, and collectively, he marshals everybody round and says, right, this thing is going wrong. We need ideas from everybody. How do we make it right? And not feel that you can do it on your own. Because sometimes you do it on your own and you make mistakes. Look at what is happening with what? Our debt situation. And we still play politics with it. It's not helping us.
It's not helping.
No.
Yes. And what do you think about the things that happen in the country and the solutions? You realize that the solutions are not necessarily rocket science. These are things that can actually be done. But we always talk about the political will to get the right things done. Are we going to put the country first, or are we going to put our own interest first? Mr. Jantua, thank you for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thank you.
And I think the things you've said in these preliminary stages will give a lot of people who are watching a lot of things to think about. Also in the studio this morning is Delali Sewapo. He's a member of the NDC's communications team. Delali, it's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too.
How are you doing?
We are managing. I mean, if you listen to what my senior brother said relative to the current state of the Ghanaian economy and what is currently going on in the country. I mean, if I'm a young guy listening to him, he has seen it all.
Yeah.
And with the sort of picture that he painted, I mean, it tells you that things are really bad. I mean, aside what he's saying, Ghanaians are feeling it. I mean, if you speak to businessmen in this country, I had a cause to speak to a businessman that was yesterday. He told me that, Delali, my business has run aground. Then I asked him, what is the reason? He said, in the past, when I need $10,000 to go and do business outside Ghana, I have to spend an amount of $37,200 for $10,000. And he said now he needed almost about $160,000 for the same $10,000. And the kind of picture that he painted, he said most of his colleagues were in the same business, have to fold up, and now they are sitting at home. And so it tells you that even the business class are not spared. But you see, what is more scary and worrying is the fact that the managers of the economy seems not to appreciate the gravity of the problem that is confronting this country. Because anytime that you listen to them, it's more or less like they are okay, they are comfortable. They don't appreciate the hardship Ghanaians are going through. I mean, recently I saw a TikTok video, and a woman basically comparing how much she was buying certain foodstuffs about 3-4 years ago, comparing to how much she's buying it now. And the extent that she feels that even her business is coming to a halt. You meet young folks of this country, finish university, 2 masters, 3 masters, and now it's obvious that they have thrown their hands in despair. There's no hope. And for me, even in the face of all this troubling, situation that we are being confronted with, what matters is when leadership admits that indeed we are going through a problem and how best we'll be able to fix the problem. But when you have leadership continuously make a claim, statement to the effect that we are doing so well, when you have an instances where a leadership look at your face and tells you that, when the exchange rate was 4 cedi 20 pesos, we described the person who was the leader at that time that he was incompetent. But today it's almost 16 Ghana cedis. And yet they continue touting about the fact that they are competent. For me, that is worrying. When you have leadership that tells you that when they were in a position, when the bag of maize was 72 Ghana cedis, at that time, they described their predecessor of being incompetent. Today, it's more than 1,000 Ghana cedis. Yet, they look Ghanaians in the face and tell Ghanaians that we are okay with that. When you look at leadership, making a claim to the effect that once upon a time, they tweeted and said President Mahama was insensitive to the plight of ordinary drivers, to the plight of Ghanaians, because at that time, a liter, a gallon of fuel was sold at 14 Ghana cedis. They said President Mahama was incompetent. Today, as we speak, a gallon is more than 70 Ghana cedis. And instead of them to admit that indeed we have run the country aground, Ghanaians should forgive us. Ghanaians should come together so that they rally together and find a way to fix the problem. They rather continue to talk about the fact that they are good managers of the economy more than their predecessors. And for me, that is worrying. Because every government once in a while is being confronted with challenges. But what do you expect from leadership is an admission that we have failed. An admission that indeed things are not going on well. But with this arrogant posture, continuously demonstrating to Ghanaians that we are good managers of the economy. When you look at all the indicators, it points to an obvious gloomy economy. I mean, when you have an instances where somebody organizes lectures and tell the good people of this country that when debt to GDP was 56%, I listened to the former finance minister sat on a sister TV station, specifically TV3, and said when the debt to GDP was 56%, debt to GDP. He said Mahama is incompetent. For him, he has never in his life come across an instances where debt to GDP was 56%. For that matter, Mahama was incompetent. At a point in time in the history of this country, that the NPP, a debt to GDP was more than 100%. Yet they look at us in our face and tell us that they are good managers of the economy. And sometimes that is what is causing a lot of stress in this country. Look at inflation. Look at the prices of goods and services. The man who went to Malata and told us that he has gone to Malata, the prices of what we call food are skyrocketing. Today, he is unable to talk about the economy. I mean, when was the last time you heard the vice president talking specifically when it comes to matters of the economy?
So these are things that bother you as a young person.
Because I believe that when we were growing up, I mean, one of the things that we were told, that be bold enough and take responsibility for your actions and inactions. But you have a group of people who continue to shift blames. Are you not surprised that today we still meet MPP people who continue to blame President Mahama for the current mess that we are going through?
It's interesting. And, well, we don't have a lot of time to get into some of those issues. Our MPP rep is not in the studio yet. Awal Mohammed is to join us in the studio. He is not here yet, but when he gets into the studio, definitely we'll hear what he's got to say about all of these issues and the other issues that we're discussing. But let's get right on into some other discussions now, shall we? The President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has directed the Ministry of Finance to release 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to assist customers affected by the government's banking sector cleanup exercise. Now, this announcement was made by the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, during his official visit to the UK Town Hall meeting over the weekend. Dr. Amin Adam stated that the President's directive requires the disbursements to be completed between now and October. The current debt there is about 4 billion. So obviously this 1.5 billion is not going to be enough to deal with all the issues, but it's a start. The minister further emphasized that the government is prioritizing the welfare of the Ghanaian people, while also noting that individuals are responsible for their own investment decisions. And he says the government is caring, and because the government is caring, the 1.5 billion Ghana cedis is going to be released, and then the people who have been affected by the banking sector cleanup will begin to get their monies. Mr. Jantwa, surely this is a step in the right direction. That people who suffered during the banking sector cleanup will now have been clamoring to try and get their monies, and they've not been getting their monies, will heave a sigh of relief. Because the government is bailing them out. Do you believe it is a step in the right direction?
Good morning to our viewers. What right direction are we talking about? I think the President took his foot off the pedal when he allowed Kenuforiata to run riot with our finances in this country, unfortunately. that banking sector cleanup could have been done differently. And we would be saving 1.5 billion now. And what do I mean by could have been done differently? A lot of the banks were local banks, wasn't it? You're trying to tell me that government couldn't have put in new management of those banks so that they continued? That wouldn't have been possible to do. Did we actually assess the situation properly, whereby those things that were wrong with the banks, we could have put those things back up and got new management to handle those banks? Won't people still be in employment? Won't people's money still be in the bank? Won't the bank be operating today? And now the country is challenged with finances, and we're saying that we're going to use 1.5 billion to pay people when we could have done something better with those banks. So far as I'm concerned, how many years have people waited for? Some people have died. Some people have gone through trauma. Some people's children haven't been able to continue schooling. The hope that some people had with their investments in the bank, what has happened to them after how many years? So 1.5, and you know the cost of money always increases as the city depreciates. The cost of money. What the cost of money was at that time, it has gone up even now. So that money that they are paying them today would not be able to do what the money would have been able to do then. So it's not a question of clapping, but some money will come in. With the economic situation we find in the country today, what will that 1.5 billion do? It's being spread over how many years to be paid? Oh, the president said between now and October.
Between now and October is when it will be paid.
Now in October.
I mean, what is actually needed? What is actually needed is 4 billion.
Yeah, 4 billion.
And out of that, 1.5 billion has been
When will
released.
the next be paid?
We were not told that by the finance
Don't you
minister.
think it would be a good thing to invest that money, that 1.5 billion, invest it in a profitable venture that would help the country, that would help everybody, and then through that find a way of paying these people? 4.1 billion. Did you say 4.1 billion? 4.5 billion for the cleanup. Come on. We could have done it better. Unfortunately, we could have done it better. We could have handled this better. Because you know what happened? All the foreign banks now had advantage. All the foreign banks had advantage. These are local banks. Local banks. Kusindum's GHOne was in every rural area. Every rural area. What was he doing? He was also teaching the people what it means to save in a bank. And the rural people were beginning to understand that. Then you go, you close his bank. Yeah, there could be challenges with it. But the way you did it, for me, wasn't the right way. The way Kenufuriata handled this thing wasn't the right way. Where did Kenufuriata feel we'll get the 4.5 billion to pay them? Where did he think we'll get it from? Was he able to pay them? Was he able to pay them? So the president said the buck stops with him. And I'm saying he took his foot off the pedal. I wonder what they discussed in cabinet meetings with this particular issue. I wonder what was said. I wonder whether he was giving the nod. Go ahead, do it. If there was no personal interest in there.
Well, but the banking sector, had issues, had problems.
Are you trying to tell me?
Hence the cleanup.
Are you trying to tell me that the way the cleanup was done was the right way? Is that what you're trying to tell me? When you have a problem and you need to clean it up, do you make sure that people lose their jobs? Is that what you do? You have no empathy for the people working there. And a lot of those people who lost their jobs, go and ask me what they are doing today. Go and ask me what they are doing today. And you're trying to tell me we couldn't handle it differently? I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Where are we going to find the balance? And when are we going to find the balance? I pity the next president, be it Baumia, be it Mahama, be it Shermatin, be it Cheddar, be it any of the others who put their names up. I pity them. I pity them because the burden that this government would leave for the next president to come and take over is going to determine the next election. The burden. So, if the president says, and clapping at that immediately 1.5 billion should be paid between now and October.
Yeah.
Let's see how it will be paid. And let's hope it's not politicized. And it is done transparently. Let's see. Yeah? Talk is cheap. It's the real operation of it, the implementation of it. Let's see. So, you expect me to say, oh, it's a good thing. Well,
at least those who have had their monies locked up.
But it's not everybody.
Even aside
that is why I'm saying it's not everybody.
We're going to get some.
It's not everybody.
Some respite.
It's not everybody. 4.5 billion. Some will get paid. Some won't get paid. Mm-hmm. How are they going to choose those who will be paid? How? Is it going to be on party lines? So they should tell us. This is where it should be transparent. As the president said that, he should come and tell how we are going to do it. Who is going to be paid? Who deserves to be paid? Is it the banks that were closed first, or is it the banks that were closed last? How are they going to do it? Here.
All right, Delali, let me come to you now. On this. I mean,
first of all, let me say here that the issue about the bank collapse. I have heard a lot of justification as to why there was the need for the financial sector cleanup. I'm also not oblivious of the fact that the government itself commissioned KPMG to do audits relative to some of the happenings within the banking sector. And I could give you a classical example. There was an instances relative to even GHOne Bank that it was obvious that government of Ghana was owing GHOne Bank because GHOne Bank have basically given loans to some contractors that execute jobs on behalf of the government of Ghana. And so when it got to that bit of the recapitalization, the directive was government must pay those contractors so that they can repay back their loan. Government refused it. I have listened to Dr. Papanko display a supposedly classified document or communique between the finance minister and the executive secretary to the president, who we are being told has been appointed as an ambassador at large, relative to the decision to collapse GHOne Bank. And even to the extent that even at the cabinet level, there was a strong opposition relative to the collapse of GHOne Bank. When you look at a bank like Heritage Bank, when you listen to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, the only reason he gave us the basis for collapsing Heritage Bank is the fact that one of the shareholders was a subject of court. Courts. I mean, he's actually being hauled before court. That becomes a justification for the bank to be closed down. And for me, it's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, Lawyer Jantua is here. That's one of the directors or one of the shareholders of a bank is before court, and for that matter, that became a basis for the collapse of the said bank. And what is more instructive is also about the fact that, let's admit, there was also a finding that says that we needed an amount of 9 billion to resuscitate these banks who were facing challenges. But yet we are being told that they've spent an amount of 25 billion, right, in cleaning up for the cleanup exercise. It's illogical, it doesn't make sense, It doesn't sound convincing. It's obvious that a certain group of people were bent on collapsing certain financial institutions. And that is why, for me, I continue to give credence to this Ejapade document that continues to be bundled around. Anybody who doubts it must take his or her time, read word for word every single expression in that Ejapade document. You appreciate that whatever that is happening before us is a blueprint that is being executed before us. Before the NPP take over power or the leadership of this country, this whole thing about collapsing financial institution just because they want to make sure that a certain financial institution becomes so dominant in this country. That is exactly what they are doing. Because some of the things that they have done is absolutely unheard of. I had the opportunity to travel around the country in 2021. That is when I appreciate the extent that GHOne Bank is dotted around the country. That is when I appreciate the gravity of what President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia have done to this country. That is when I appreciate how callous, how insensitive President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia have acted towards the good people of this country. You have 6,000 Ghanaian youths of this country who have lost direct jobs as a result of your penchant and as a result of your dedication and commitment just collapse financial institution in this country. And so if anybody tells me that, oh, this government is trying to pay 1.5 billion to those who have been affected as a result of the financial cleanup exercise, I tell the people, probably you don't know the rationale behind the collapse of this financial institution. Because we all are aware, prior to 2016 election, there are some banks in this country, they were not doing better than some of the banks that has collapsed. They were not doing better than some of the banks that have collapsed. We know the extent to which a certain cabal within the NPP made up their mind that so long as the only way we will make sure that our financial institution will become prominent in this country is
but
to
you don't have any evidence to
institution.
prove that claim that you just made, Delali.
Well, when you have an instance,
I mean, what you're doing is just
no,
conjecture and
but
speculation.
when you have an instance, what was the basis of the collapse of GHOne Bank?
Well, the Bank of Ghana clearly, I mean, you remember the press conference that was addressed by the governor of the Bank of Ghana, clearly giving all the reasons why some of these banks, you know, had to be consolidated into one. You know, the financial malfeasance that was going on within some of these institutions, you know, monies being misappropriated, of course. We've seen some of them, you know, in court. I mean, we've seen Atuesian and what has happened in that instance. I mean, Beige Bank is still in case. I mean, it's still in court, and a host of other things. So the reasons were clearly given. And it's been agreed, you know, by some economists and those in the financial sector that there needed to be some restructuring within the banking sector. And that's what the government sought to do. You may not agree with the approach, but something needed to be done.
You know all the banks that collapsed, it became more or less like that was what was consolidated, the CBG.
Yes.
You know they are making loss.
I mean, first there was UT,
Yeah.
and then there was UT and Capital Bank, which joined GCB.
Sure.
And then there were the others,
Yeah.
which were consolidated into the consolidated bank.
Yeah.
And then there were others who were also forced to merge.
Yeah. You know CBG is making a loss. They are struggling. The CBG that we were told that banks were consolidated. As we speak, they are struggling. They are making loss. So what should we do to the finance minister? And you see, you have an instances, like I said to you, when you look like banks, I've made references to Heritage Bank, that the basis of the collapse of Heritage Bank, it's absolutely unconscionable. That Lantam, as we sit down here, one of the directors of GHOne is before court. Must that be a basis of collapsing GH Bank?
Well, that's what the Bank of Ghana felt was necessary to be done.
Absolutely. You see, that's why I'm saying that it absolutely has nothing to do with recourse to the law. It has to do with a certain group of people who basically have made up their mind that we want to collapse certain financial institution in this country. That is my personal view, and I know a lot of Ghanaians watching me this morning hold the same view. Because you see,
okay, it's good that you say it's your personal view, because
if you look at the timing,
those who did the cleanup,
if you look at the timing of the 1.5 billion Ghana cedis,
yeah,
because we are in an election year. That time, go back to 2020. We experienced the same thing. And I listened to the finance minister. You know what the finance minister said? He said, we are going to pay you 1.5 billion. If God willing, Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia wins, he will pay the rest. Political gimmick. Political strategy. You see, they are basically playing with the lives of the ordinary people of this country. And who told the finance minister that Ghanaians trust Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia? The man has no credibility. How many times have you not promised people whose monies are locked? How many times have you not promised them? How many times have you not assured them? How many times have you not told them that by 6 months, by 1 year, we'll make sure that your money is paid back to you? Because it's an election year? You want to hoodwink them? You want to play with their mind so that they believe you?
But doesn't the government have a track record of paying customers who have lost their investments? I mean, they did it in the case of DKM, for example. I mean, those who lost their monies were paid.
You know how many people...
So if the government says they are releasing this amount of money to pay people, I mean, surely you can trust the government on that.
I mean, that's what I'm telling you, that this whole thing, if you want to release money and pay people,
yes,
why are you telling the people that if God willing, Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia win, the rest will be paid? So like lawyer said, how many of the customers, right, who were affected, how many of them are you going to pay? What is going to be the basis of that selection? Is it going to be a partisan selection? How are you going to select them? Or you want to tell us that those who are not going to be paid, their life doesn't matter? And the minister himself admitted the number of people who have died as a result of this financial institution cleanup. Some of them have died. Can you resurrect them? As we speak, there are people who are bedridden because of this callous act that was perpetrated by the government of Ghana, led by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. People who were working, who wake up on a daily basis to go to work, as we speak, some of them are suffering from terminal diseases for no crime of theirs. And I listened to the finance minister talking about the fact that some of them have to bear responsibility for engaging and for going into what we call a certain form of investment and what have you not. Ghanaians have seen through what President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. Ghanaians don't trust them, they lack credibility. This, what they call promise that, okay, we'll pay 1.5 billion when we are done next year. After Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia have won, we'll pay the rest. Ghanaians don't believe them. Ghanaians don't trust them. What is important is this. Ghanaians are going through difficulties. Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia have demonstrated that he's incompetent, he's not capable to deal with the problem Ghanaians are going through. Ghanaians don't trust him. For a man that sat on Asempa FM and said, if he's starting one of the biggest projects that the NPP have achieved in the northern part of the country is the Pualugu Dam. That's what Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia, he said that is what they have done in Pualugu. It turns out that it was false. This is Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia who stood before the people of Cape Coast and told them that, listen, the good people of Cape Coast, we are building the Cape Coast Harbour. It turns out to be false. This is a man that promised the good people of this country that indeed he has had the opportunity to work at Bank of Ghana, and for that matter, we need not to borrow. Today, how much have we borrowed so far? And you want Ghanaians to trust you and trust Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. Ghanaians don't trust Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia.
Well, I mean, that is not for you to say. That is for the people of
Ghana. They don't trust him
on December 7th.
They don't trust him.
Well,
because anything about Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia raises credibility issues.
Okay. Very well. Let's move on. Let's move on. There are still quite a number of issues that we need to get into. We know that the country is in dire straits when it comes to our debt. And so there has to be some debt restructuring. We're trying to reach a deal with some of our creditors. And thanks be to God, as some people will say, we've been able to reach a deal. We've given our external creditors, whom we have been negotiating with for a long time, a haircut. And so we are ready to move. The president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is announcing that many of the country's stalled projects will soon resume because of the successful negotiations on the debt restructuring, or the restructuring of Ghana's debts with external creditors. Now, speaking at the presentation of credentials to 9 newly appointed diplomats at the Jubilee House, the president detailed the positive outcomes of these negotiations and their implications for Ghana's development. Now, the president outlined the completion of 3 major debt restructuring operations: the domestic debt restructuring, external bilateral debt restructuring, and the commercial bondholders debt restructuring. And the president says that these debt restructuring efforts have provided the much needed financial relief and set the stage for a renewed focus on critical infrastructure and development projects. So, the successful negotiation means that bondholders will provide 4.4 billion US dollars in cash flow relief during the IMF program, in addition to the cancellation of 4.7 billion US dollars of debt stock. So, with all of this, the president believes that we have now some financial room to operate, and so infrastructure projects that we see that have stalled and all of that, we'll begin to see these infrastructure projects work begin on them earnestly. Mr. Jantua, back to you on this one. I mean, surely this is good news for Ghana. We've been trying to reach a deal with our, creditors. We've been trying to restructure our debt to give us some room to operate because of where we've reached with our debt and all of that. So this should be good news for us as far as, our developmental agenda as a country is concerned, isn't it?
Is debt good news? Is debt good news?
But if we are making headway in dealing with the debt,
we've been able to sit with our debtors to restructure. The restructuring of our debt doesn't mean we're not going to pay the debt. What does it mean? We have deferred it to another time, haven't we? And it's released some monies for us, hasn't it?
It has.
Bondholders, how much are they going to lose in their interest payments? 4.7 billion.
Yes.
Aren't they? And once upon a time, we were told government debt was risk-free. Going to bonds is risk-free. What has happened?
There was a crisis that the entire world went through, of course. These are the explanations that government has always given. And we cannot deny the impact that COVID-19 had on the country. Very recently, we saw the president, speaking to the president of Ukraine, about certain inflow of certain imports and all of that. Obviously, the war between Russia and Ukraine has also disrupted some supply chain issues. All of this has contributed to, where we are. And so drastic measures had to be taken, which has resulted in
the country of Ukraine.
Debt.
The country of Ukraine,
yes,
who are in war with Russia. What's their inflation rate? Check it. What's the inflation rate? The country of Ukraine, who are in war with Russia, are they not exporting grain? Are they not? And when you read the IMF report on Ghana, what word is used in there? It says that the Ukraine war and COVID exacerbated Ghana's challenges.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means it made our challenges worse.
Worse. So there was a challenge, wasn't there? There was a physical challenge, wasn't there? And that physical challenge had got to do with our debt structure. How we were taking loans from the international finance market to cover a naked cedi, for Ghanaians to feel that the cedi was strong. What are we seeing today? The cedi is bouncing like a yo-yo. Today is up, tomorrow is down. Today is up, tomorrow is down. How do we plan as a country? You see, at this point, for this government to help those who are standing, Dr. Baumia in his party, for this government to be able to help them, if they happen to win, they have to be transparent. And how do they be transparent with where we stand today? The finance minister has just gone to Europe, sat with the IMF, sat with the bondholders, and those we owe, come up with certain situations that can help the country. he should take everything to Parliament according to what the Constitution says, so that every Ghanaian gets to understand the results of the negotiation. They've got to be transparent on this. Dr. Amin is not Ken Ofori-Atta. He should do things differently. He's gone, he's negotiated. There are some advantages that will come to the country. There are some disadvantages that the country are going to go through. Take it to Parliament, for the people's representatives to have a look at it and tell the Ghanaians what is in all that they have negotiated, so that we all understand. And when that is done, and we see that the right things have been done, then we clap for them. I would, and you see, this is where the president has only 6 months to go.
Yeah.
Huh?
More or less.
He has more or less 6 months to go. Huh? Really and truly, what is his beef? What is his beef? Rather, we should be looking at how do we come 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, when we start paying these our debts, how are we going to be able to pay? It's not doing infrastructure projects. Yes, that needs to be done. But we have debt to pay in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The question should be, and this is what he should be telling us, because of where we are, because of the savings we've made, ABCDE is what we are going to put in place to be able to start payment when we move forward. Because look, international investors, they are still standing on the fence watching. They would want to see how Ghana handles its debt repayment when that starts. And this is where we should put things in place, sinking fund, whatever, put it in place so that the next president who comes has something to stand on to start those payments. Maybe the president is also playing politics for us to say that, okay, money has come, so we are going to do infrastructure projects. I'm telling you, when we start these infrastructure projects, it would not finish. We won't be able to complete them by the time our payments start. The one project that government should look at, in fact, 2 projects government should look at and look at well, very well, is water for the northern region. Water for the northern region. Because water is gold in the northern region. I'm not sure whether you listened to the news yesterday of people drinking dirty water, and they only get that water in the rainy season. Dirty water. Water is gold in the north. It is something we've got to look at. 2, agriculture. Let's start that agricultural drive where we can add value and also start exports. Not these projects the president is talking about. Yeah, the projects have stopped. Ghanaians have gotten used to it. Let's see how we get money back into the economy. And for me, to get money back into the economy, agriculture and exports. Because what does exports do? It brings in foreign exchange. Within the next... Look, we need a plan. We need to put a plan in place of how we are going to repay these debts. And what are some of the things we are going to do to make sure that there's money in the economy to pay some of these debts. Because, Lantam, if we don't do that, there's going to be a cycle of IMF going forward as we move into 2030, 2035. And we can't afford to do that anymore. This should be the last time we attempt IMF. Look, they are personal interest, though. They are personal interest and no personal friends. I have friends who were part of the negotiation. And when they were there, I was communicating with them. They were telling me it is not easy. It is not easy. The personal interest is there. There are certain things they wanted us to do that we weren't prepared to do, but they were pushing us. We've got to get to a stage where we generate the income from here. Got to get to that stage.
Okay.
And if we don't, then that cycle would continue. The president shouldn't come and dilly-dally a carrot in front of us and tell us that, oh, money is coming, so we're going to finish all these projects. You have only 6 months to go. Are you trying to tell me that he will finish, what do you call it, the overhead at OBJP Lamte, he will finish it in 6 months? Is that what he's trying to tell me?
Well, but at least we should start.
And if
I
you
mean,
start,
at least we should continue work on it. Because
how much
a
money?
part of the work has
how
been
much
done.
money?
So should we leave
wait,
it?
How much money is required to finish? Remember, the cedi has depreciated. Remember, the exchange rate has gone up. The pound is 19 cedis to a pound. The dollar is 15, heading for 16. The situation then is not the same situation now. So even if you say we are going to invest, how much money do we need to put these projects in place?
Right.
And this is where, for me, the transparency is. And stop dangling a carrot in front of us as if everything is kosher, because things aren't kosher. Food inflation. Saturday, I'm coming. Let me finish it. Saturday, I went to the market. Okro. 5 fingers. 5 cedis. Okro, 5 cedis.
So it means one is 1 cedi.
One is 1 cedi. I asked for onion, a ball of big onion, 10 cedis. Nima market, 10 cedis. See,
Very well.
these are the practical things that we need to take care of.
All right. Joining us in the studio now is Awal Mohammed. I mentioned that he would join us earlier. He's late to the studio. He is the PRO of the Youth Employment Agency. He's also a member of the NPP's communications team. Awal, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Why are you late?
This is the first time I'm late on this show. And you know, no, and the thing is that the only hindrance is that I honestly missed the time. I was thinking it's 8 o'clock. Honest, I've been here a number of times. Yes, I've been here a number of times, but honestly, it just escaped me.
You've never been here at 8 o'clock before. You know we don't start at 8 o'clock.
That's true.
So this is your
That's
excuse.
true.
We are
That's
not. We are
true.
not taking it. We will surcharge you.
I'm really sorry.
we will surcharge you. So yes, we'll surcharge you. But thank you for joining us anyway. It's good to have you here in the studio. We've just been, talking about what President Akufo-Addo has been saying about our debt restructuring and the fact that this is now going to give us an opportunity to continue projects that have stalled. I'm pretty sure you've been listening to Mr. Jantua's submissions, on this. What would you say about it?
Thank you so much. Good morning to Mr. Jantua and my brother, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I think it's a good news for the country because when you check, when we started the debt restructuring, when we announced that we'll be going for the external debt restructuring, a lot of the disbursement that were supposed to come in for us to complete some projects also stalled. So if we have reached an agreement and they are really to start the disbursement over time, and again, we will be able to complete all our projects, I think it's a good news for the country. If you check, especially the bilateral debtors, for instance, Sino Hydro, almost all the projects are at a halt. You've been reporting that when you go to Takra, the PTC, that interchange there, the contractor is not on site because disbursements are not coming because they do not know whether they will take any haircut or not. So now that they have agreed that indeed they will be able to really help with the disbursement, I think it's really a good news. When I heard Mr. Jantua saying that, we should look at other issues and what's his problem. The president has started projects, and we have a history in this country that a project will be started by a government, and a government will come and neglect the project. So if he is forcing to complete all his projects, I believe is the right thing to do. If he has a way to complete all his projects, it should be the right thing to do. You remember when Kufuor was leaving, he left housing projects. None was completed under the NDC for 8 years. Again, former President Mahama has also given us the indication that all the hospitals that we have constructed, he will not complete them, because he mentioned that why do we have to start 111 and not 40? So he's given that indication. So it tells you that if there is a way for us to complete all our projects that we have started, he mentioned that we said OBJDB will be done within months. Unfortunately, it stalled because the disbursement were not coming. We went for a loan for a project, and the project has stalled because they don't know whether they are going or they are coming, as we say in P. So now that the way is clear, that indeed we can really receive disbursement from bilateral creditors and some few other creditors, including the Eurobond creditors, we are now set to know that indeed the economy is on a rebound. Infrastructure and industry will see some growth, at least, and it's part of when it's part of the restructuring of the economy, because we said we invest in critical infrastructure so that the economy will stand on really start rebounding. So it's good news for the country. Again, looking at what the president has said, the president is saying that there are projects that are stalled. The projects are projects that are critical to the people. I mentioned the Sino Hydro. He mentioned water. If you go to Yendi, we went for a loan to start a water project in Yendi. The contractors came on site. Now the contractors are not on site because the monies that were supposed to receive, we didn't receive them. So these are critical issues that I believe that we have to really commend the finance ministry for finishing all these agreements, so that at least we have even gotten some 4.7 billion as debt cancellation.
As haircuts.
Not haircut.
Haircuts to those who...
To them, but
yeah,
to the country, this is good news for us, because we have our 13.1 billion in terms of bonds.
Yes.
And out of the 13.1, we have 4.7 going off. It tells you that, and even the payment has also been deferred to 2026, 2028.
And that is good.
That's good news, because at least, but you know that at least if today I am in debt, and my creditors are saying that, well, you pay in the next 5 years, I should be able to really have what I have,
organize yourself well, and
organize myself, so that by then I will be on a sound
when it's
footing
not
to
the
pay.
same party that is in power.
But that is Ghana, because the Eurobonds we're talking about is not the Eurobond that were contracted by this government alone. It's
we shouldn't have been here in the first place.
I'm saying that the Eurobonds, we are here, so what we should be out of the woods.
If the country was managed properly,
These are Eurobonds that
here.
didn't start from 2017. These are Eurobonds that started as far as Kufuor, even though we have cleared the Kufuor one when we came in 2018. You understand? So if we have been able to get close to half of it going off, and the payment has also been deferred, it means it's good for the economy. There's no country in this world that can stand the test of really COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine. This is a fact. UK economy is in recession. This is a fact. Tell me which economy is doing so well. We are all trying to recover. There is no country that is not in IMF. All the bigger economies, check. Egypt is there. South Africa is there. South Africa is even reeling under doomsday. But I even get light.
Are we not overly blaming our woes on COVID-19 and Russia and Ukraine?
Not.
Because it looks as though that is the go-to argument, of those who communicate for governments. Oh, I mean, it's not because of mismanagement. It's because of Russia, Ukraine, and it's because of COVID-19.
Recently, former President Mahama was abroad, and he also attributed.
It seems as though that is all there. But is that all there is to it?
No, I said that these are short.
Haven't there been elements of mismanagement here and there?
Check between 2017 and 2022, even the forex. January 2022. Check.
Sorry. That's the question. So, the import of food that we are importing now is also a Russia-Ukraine war.
Import of food.
Tomatoes and onions.
Tomatoes, importation of tomatoes started not today.
Please allow our to make a speech.
Onion. We've been importing onion from Niger for the last 30 years.
Is it right?
So what government is doing now, I'll tell you, because they're planting for food and job.
Please.
You see?
Please.
They will want us to.
Can we please allow?
You see the problem. They are glad that you should be complaining without providing solutions. And I'm telling you solutions, and you're telling me you're laughing about the solutions that I'm giving. We are in government, and I'm telling you that we have launched planting for food and job part 2
for just one.
Please.
What did you do?
Please allow our wow to make
that one was able to help us be self-sufficient in maize production in this country.
Self-sufficient, really?
Yes, because in 2018, 2019, we didn't import maize in this country.
Okay.
When we went through IMF, what was the name? COVID-19.
Yes.
We closed our borders and so on, but there was no shortage of food in this country. It tells you that indeed we were self-sufficient in food production at that time. There was no shortage. In 2020, there was no shortage of food in this country. But if you go to UK, essential, some people even go to shops and they were not even given the number of food they were to buy in the shops. But in this country, people were buying from it left, right, center. So definitely we've seen the impact of the planting for food and job part 1. The part 2, as I speak right now, Youth Employment Agency has secured about 4,000 acres of land. We are sending the youth. We have started clearing of the land last week. In Kuma, we have 1,000 acres. We are sending the youth to go and plant maize and some few other crops. And these are the solutions this government is started. Again, if you check, the planting for food and job part 2 will go into tomato, will go into onion and pepper production. And this is something that has started. Clearing of land has started in the north. You want us to always dwell on the negatives, to tell us that, well, there is no solution. I'm telling you the solution and you're telling me that these are no solutions.
Where's the water in the north? Where's the water in the north?
They do seasonal farming. If you know, they have rain has started falling in the north now. So definitely, it will rain within this time till the farming ends. That's what they do. And I'm telling you that these are deliberate government policies to plant these crops that are very essential.
Okay, but back to the issue. We detoured a little bit, but back to finishing your submission on on the issue of completing projects.
Yes,
because we have restructured our debt.
Yes, so the president is right by saying that all the projects that I have started, I will want them to complete it. And again, if you go to, I will still go back to Takrady. When you go to that place, the inconvenience that the people are facing over there, and you are telling me that it shouldn't be his headache to complete that project. Obichabi here, look at the inconvenience of the people there. You understand? So the president is right by saying that now projects are coming back again. People take delight in media going to report that there is a project this place, the contractor is not on site. We're telling you that there is money coming now for us to complete all the projects. And this is good news. I think this calls for celebration. Yes. Yes, it calls for celebration. Because
so we should do party.
I'm not saying we should do party because I don't do party whilst doing celebration. But I'm telling you that if really we have been able to secure 4.7 billion written off,
yes,
something that we're supposed to pay, it's written off, and even the payment of the rest of the amount will start from 2026. I think it's positive for the economy of this country. And again, even the exchange rate, because ending of this month, we'll still get the IMF to do their disbursement because we're done with our part that we're supposed to do for them to do disbursement. So definitely the Forex will see some changes. The 19 cities he's talking about, you remember, we experienced relative stability. Around this time in 2022, it started moving from 6 cities. It moved up to 15 cities, you remember. By December, the cedi to the dollar was 15 cities. We reversed it to about 10 cities. And it stayed there for some time. Moved, and now it is around 15. Has it happened in the history of this country that the forex will go up, come down, stable for close to 2 years.
You're not paying your debts. You're not paying your debts.
So I am asking you, has it ever happened in this country?
You're not paying your debts.
That for 2 years it is still around the same place. What the businessman want is stability. You are a business person, you engage in business.
And we have
what
stability.
the businessman want is stability. And there is relative stability. Compare from 2022 up to today. In 2022 it was 15. Today it's still 15.
It went to 13. It's come back to 15.
Exactly. It's still 15, and it will come down.
Why didn't it stay
And I'm
at
telling
13?
you that by the end of this month, it is coming down. By the end of this month, it is coming down.
We want it at 8.
It cannot be at
Not
8.
15.
It cannot
Not
be at 8 because
13.
it will affect the businessman. You understand? You know this. It will affect the businessman if it comes to 8.
What? The exchange rate?
Yes. Yes.
How?
The reason is that a lot of things have been pegged around 12, 13 or so. So when you bring it down, a lot of people will lose a lot of money. Even the country will lose.
If the exchange rate is lower, isn't it better for a businessman?
Not that as,
If the
as low as
exchange
that.
rate is lower,
What the businessman
isn't
want,
it better for a
what the
businessman?
businessman want is lower stability because we're an
You said
import-driven country.
He said if it comes
We
down, we
import
lose.
a lot, so definitely you can't just
What have
say
you
that
done
it should
about
come
the
down.
imports?
All right, very well.
What have you done
One
about the
district, one
imports?
factory.
Oh.
If you go to around Parliament right now, you see a coffee juice being sold there. This country
Poultry.
today, I'm saying that if you go to around Parliament, there is a van there selling a coffee juice.
I said poultry. Go and ask
All right,
them
very well,
what they're
very
going
well.
through.
I'll come to you.
What are they going through?
I'll come to you.
Stop
I'll come to
producing.
you very shortly, Delali. But let's take a short break here. When we return, we'll hear what Delali has got to say about the subject matter. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to the Breakfast Review. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. My guest in the studio, Mr. Kwame Jantua, is a member of the CPP. Delali Sewokbo is a member of the NDC, and Awal Mohammed is a member of the NPP. And before the break, we have been discussing debt restructuring and the president's hopes that after the successful debt restructuring, we now have some room to get money coming in for infrastructure projects that have stalled to be completed or for work to begin on these projects. Delali, before we went on the break, we hadn't heard your submission on this subject matter. I mean, we should be excited about being able to reach a deal with external creditors, being able to restructure our debt, giving the country, some fiscal space or some room to operate and, complete infrastructure projects. I mean, that should be good for us. Isn't it?
When I listened to the president yesterday, I was shocked. Now let me put it, I was disappointed, but I wasn't surprised. Because you see, once in a while, the NPP creates an impression that they are professing a solution to deal with a problem that was created by somebody else. This issues or this situation that we are going through is self-inflicted. Now, who caused it? Who put us in this mess? Is it not the NPP? Are they not the one that put us in this mess? I mean, is it not the NPP that put us in a situation that we had no option than to run to the IMF? And sometimes I ask myself, do the NPP listen to themselves? Does President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his sober mood, does he listen to some of the things he said prior to the 2016 election? All of a sudden, the president is telling us that, but for the debt forgiveness and restructuring, there's absolutely no way he was going to continue, he was going to finish the project that he started. And that speaks of how on principle the president is.
Oh, there was no money to do it.
No, it tells you the president is inconsistent. It tells you the president lacks credibility. It tells you the president is so dishonest. Is it not the same president who sat on Kwame Sefaka's show and said Yetisikaso back home there? Is it not the president that created an impression that indeed Ghana as a country, we are so much endowed with resources, and for that matter, we are self-sufficient and we can develop this country without running to any institution or any organization? Is it not the president? Is it not the same president who was moving, jumping from one platform to the other, creating an impression to the entire country that Ghana, for that matter, is a country that is capable of undertaking developmental project without depending on anybody. This is not the same president. So the man, all of a sudden, is running away from his mantra, it is Ikaso, to the fact that but for the IMF and all this, were our creditors, giving us a reprieve, there's no way we would have continued with our projects. I mean, it tells you that, you see, this whole government, led by President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo and the Vice President, are just a walking contradiction. Because all of a sudden, the man that told us that we have so much in this country is telling us, oh, but for the fact that now, in terms of the debt restructuring and what have you, we would have been able to go ahead in finishing some of the projects that they have started. That is so unbelievable. But you see, put that one aside. From 2017 to date, 2017 to date, in terms of revenue and taxes alone, is 411 billion. That money was not able to finish all the projects the president is starting. Now we need a debt restructuring to be able to finish the project.
Of course, but there are a whole lot of factors and a whole lot of expenditures that these monies will go into, paying salaries, servicing debts, and some other infrastructure projects.
But the president,
all of that is not.
But the president himself.
I mean, if you look at our budgets, right? If you look at our budgets, you'd see where a chunk of the budgetary allocations are going to: servicing of debt, interest payment on loans, payment of salaries, and there's always very little left for infrastructure development.
The president himself told you. The president himself told you that we sit on tons of money. Is that not what the president said? Did the vice president not tell you that he has had the opportunity to work at Bank of Ghana before? There's so much money in this country, to the extent that even we don't need to borrow, we have to tow our road and raise money to do developmental projects. Didn't the vice president say that?
In relation to roads, yes.
Exactly. So what the president is referring to, is road not part of them? You see?
But we are not tolling our roads now, are we?
You see, why? Then who caused it? That's why I'm saying that they are professing a solution, creating an impression that this problem that they are talking about is caused by somebody. Why? Who, with just a fiat, call for the closure of what we call the toll? Is it not the Minister for Road under the same government? No, you see, when Awa was speaking, he created an impression that, there's a global, what we call it, issue, crisis, and for that matter, Ghana is not immune from it. That's why I say that nothing conveys a man than his own words. I have a 12-minute video here, 12-second video here. Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia said, when President Mama was talking about global crisis, and for that matter, that's why Ghana is going through a certain difficulty. You know what Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia said? I have it here. Your producer can just play it.
Under Mahama, there was no global crisis.
See, you know what Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, he said, what President Mama is saying does not make sense, because how can global crisis bypass Cote d'Ivoire, bypass Togo, bypass surrounding countries and hit Ghana? That is what Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia said. Why? The countries within the sub-region. Go and check inflation in Cote d'Ivoire. Go and check inflation in, Burkina Faso. Go and check inflation in Togo. Go and check whether they are going through debt restructuring. So see, that is the mess. You have created a whole mess for this country. And instead of you to admit that you have caused a mess, you run away and rather shifting blames. That's why I told you, was it these same people? What did they tell us? They told that we are going to IMF. When it's so glaring and obvious that, listen, the country has been run aground, and for that matter, our only way we can seek refuge is to go run to there. What did they tell us? Didn't the finance minister told us that those who are even calling on the government to go to IMF, we are engaged in cynicism? May his soul rest in perfect peace, John Kuma? Did he not stand right there at the Augusta Parliament and say we are not going to IMF today, neither tomorrow, neither even in the future? You see, that is a level of inconsistency that has characterized this particular dispensation. And now you have an instance, he's talking about COVID. You see, sometimes the NPP rather should be thanking COVID, because COVID was a blessing to this government. You got an amount of almost about 30 billion. The amount of money that this government raised as a result of COVID was more around 30 billion. The Auditor General has made us aware that you spend 11 billion in dealing with COVID-related expenses. We are
we are aware of the fact that the amount of money that you got, you share amongst your party apparatchiks. See, there was an audio Felicia Tete, NPP parliamentary candidate in Sarigu in the northern region, was given an amount of 100,000 Ghana to free bontos. They were giving it to their parliamentary candidates, giving it to their party cronies. So if for nothing at all, COVID has been a blessing to this particular administration. So what are you talking about? How on earth would you continue to shift the blame on COVID? That has been a blessing to you. And you think Ghanaians are daft? You think Ghanaians don't see the opulence? There are instances where you have a president of the republic living like a Arabian king, chartering what we call private jet, paying an amount of $12,000, $20,000. And you think Ghanaians don't see through it? You think Ghanaians are not aware about the amount of what they call money that you have allocated to the presidency? Huge amounts of money. Ties and what have you know. You think Ghanaians are not aware of it? You think Ghanaians are not aware of the fact that at the end of the day, you have dug the deepest hole, spent an amount of $58 million. You think Ghanaians are not aware of it? You think Ghanaians are not aware of the fact that you have paid an amount of $14 million when it comes to the butchered Ejapa deal? You think Ghanaians are not aware about it? You think Ghanaians are aware about that? You have paid an amount of 12 million or whatever when it comes to the Pualugu, whatever. That does not even exist in the first. Ghanaians are aware. So don't sit here and try to hoodwink Ghanaians, thinking that Ghanaians are daft, thinking that Ghanaians are not sensitive. Ghanaians are aware of the fact that you have recklessly managed this economy. Ghanaians are aware of the fact that the amount of money we have got as a result of COVID was not used for its intended purposes. You rather use the money, share among your party faithfuls. Frontier Medical Service, that was at the airport. The amount of money you got, to the extent that when you ask the sector minister, who is even the owner of Frontier Medical, he can't even tell you. Ask the minister for finance, he can't tell you. Ask the minister for health, he can't tell you. Ask the minister for transport, he cannot tell you. So when you operate a regime that to the extent that corruption has become a daily affair, when you operate a regime that you have sanctioned corruption, the president himself has become an enabler of corruption, and you sit down here, you want to create an impression that, oh, what we are going through is as a result of COVID. Who told you? Who told you? Because you see, you have mismanaged the economy. All the promises that you have made to the good people of this country, you are running away from the promises. All of a sudden, the man that we were told he's the Messiah, he's the economic whiskey. Today, I don't remember the last time the vice president can speak relative to the economy. Today, even when the vice president is asked questions related to the economy, he's running away from it. Because President Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia cannot look Ghanaians in the face and tell Ghanaians, when he was organizing series of lectures upon lectures, telling Ghanaians there's so much money in this country, telling Ghanaians President Mama is incompetent, and for that matter, that is why we are unable to develop this country. And I dare ask him, you cannot mention any project that even the president is talking about that, oh, we'll be able to finish some projects and what have you.
No, there are quite a number of projects.
You cannot mention any project.
That have been started.
Which
that
project?
Need to be completed.
Which project?
I mean, there are the hospitals.
No, Lantam, are you not so scandalized?
There is the...
Which one?
Obechebi Lamte.
Which one?
The Obechebi Lamte interchange.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, currently the work on the Pukwasi interchange and extension work is currently ongoing. Among other projects.
You see, in 2016 at this time, President Mahmoud was nicknamed the Commissioner General. He was going around the country commissioning projects.
Commission one hospital.
He was going around commissioning projects. Oh, when we were speaking, I kept quiet. You know, when you speak a lot of untruth, but I kept quiet.
Even done because
as we speak, for the 8 years of the NPP, they cannot even boast of any project that can be compared to the Kumasi KGTR market, the UG Medical Center, the Kaswa Interchange, the Rage Hospital, the Kotokoba Market. They cannot boast of any. Is it also scandalized as 6 months for the NPP to be shown the exit? The president is now telling us that upon this debt restructuring, we are going to continue a project. Even for once of a bit, this is a president who has conceded and admitted that he himself has run the country aground. And for that matter, Ghanaians should throw their hands in despair. And the one who is going to succeed him is the one who is going to fix the problem. And the one who is going to fix the problem, who is going to succeed the president, who is what do you call it? We are told that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, thinking that Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, who for all intent and purpose, Ghanaians are not ready to give this country to a mate. who is running away from his responsibility, a mate who is not even proud of the record of the driver that he served, right? He has admitted that he has run the country aground. That's what Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia is not even pleased, satisfied, right, to link himself to the achievements of this government.
Right.
So as for what the president is saying, you see, it's much ado about nothing. Ghanaians know how much you have gotten when it comes to revenue. As we speak, our debt portfolio is around 658 billion. And this group of people have nothing to show. And now you are telling us that we should give you 6 months so that you're going to complete road. Which road are you talking about?
Okay.
Which road are you talking about?
All right.
Which road? Which in my constituency? Which Kaswa road?
The Kaswa to
Which one?
River.
Which one?
The dualization of Kaswa.
Which was part of the Kaswa interchange that the one that was part of the Kaswa interchange?
Look at this man.
You halted a lot of projects.
Which project?
Do you know? You halted a lot.
It's a new project.
You halted a lot.
Contractor?
I am not surprised. I am not surprised because even Nanado, when we were constructing Kaswa interchange, Nanado said the ancillary project he was not even aware. It took Honorable Owusu Adremi, former deputy minister for road and highway, to draw the attention of the president that you are clueless when it comes to the ancillary project. That actually is what created what we call the feud between President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo and Honorable Owusu Adremi.
That's even a lie.
That is the truth. He was not aware of the ancillary project.
Well,
That's a lie.
let's move
aware.
on. Let's move on. Thank you. For 15 years, Quick Credit has been your trusted partner in micro-lending, empowering lives, and making dreams a reality. And today we're excited to announce a new age. Quick Credit is now Bills Microcredit. Still committed to serving Ghanaians and changing lives, Bills is here to show you that everything is possible. So join us as we embrace a brighter future with Bills Microfinance. Bills is financing your future needs. Quick Credit is now Bills Microcredit. So do take note of that. Let's move on to our next issue here on the Breakfast Review. So we want to talk a little bit about the wars seemingly, surrounding the Attorney General, Dr. Kesel Atoforsin, businessman Richard Jakpa, and the case in court involving the purchase of some ambulances, right? The Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, is urging or is arguing that cross-examination has exonerated him over what he terms the lies that the NDC has peddled in the ongoing ambulance trial. And he's saying that we should not fall victim or prey to the lies that the NDC has been peddling as far as this particular case or as far as this ambulance case is concerned. So the Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, like I said, is urging Ghanaians to reject the falsehoods and misrepresentations of the NDC. So he was addressing a town hall meeting with some Ghanaian residents in the United Kingdom. Mr. Dami stated that the NDC's allegations had collapsed when the cross-examination of the third defendant in the ambulance case commenced. And he is asserting that it is for this reason that the party's lies and deception will be rejected. Mr. Jantua, let me come back to you on this particular one with what the Attorney General is saying. He believes that with the cross-examination of Richard Jakpa and some of the things that are coming out, he's been exonerated, and as Ghanaians, we shouldn't fall for the lies and the propaganda of the NDC as far as this is concerned. If wrong has been done, financial loss has been caused to the state, the right thing needs to be done, and the people who have caused it need to be prosecuted.
Is he the judge in the case?
The law is in the bosom of the judge, commenting on an ongoing trial which has not come to an end. And he's putting the verdict out of a trial the way he sees it.
So is this case not to assume?
Well,
These are the words that
that is what
the
he
Attorney
sees.
General used.
Let us wait and see the end and how the judge would do this case in terms of final judgment. If the judge did not find that there was some credibility in the tape recording She would not admit it in court, would she? She would not go ahead and ask the Attorney General, suggest to him to recuse himself from the cross-examination. She wouldn't. She's a seasoned judge. A seasoned judge. She listened to that tape 10 times, according to her. There must have been some credibility in there. Wouldn't there? So let's. Who am I to say what the Attorney General is saying is right or wrong? I don't have that power. The case is in court. Let's see what happens at the end of the day. Whether it is the third accused, whether it's the first accused, whether it's the Attorney General, it will come out. And then we all know how far. We will see. But at this point, the case is ongoing. There's a judge who is judging the case, seeing the balance of probabilities on both sides. And remember, it is up to the prosecution to prove reasonableness, to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that criminality has taken place. So, let's see. I will not take what the Attorney General is saying as gospel. That is his version and that is his view. I want to wait for the final judgment of the court. And then we all see. For me, there's nothing to comment on what the Attorney General is saying. Sometimes I ask myself, why does the Attorney General play so much politics? Why?
Well, he's a political appointee.
Huh?
Is he not? He's a political appointee.
He's a political appointee.
Yeah.
He's the Attorney General of the country.
Yes, he is.
His responsibility is not only to
And Minister of Justice.
That is the challenge. That is the challenge. And why President Akufo? When President Akufo was in opposition, he supported the decoupling of those two. He's coming to power. Nothing. And that is where the challenge is. Attorney generals around the world, do you hear them talk? When was the last time you heard the Attorney General of the UK talking? When was the last time you heard the Attorney General of America talking? Even our own Africa. How many Attorney Generals have you heard talk?
But in important cases, I mean, you see state attorneys, state prosecutors and all of that. And let's speak to the media as far as important
Attorney
cases
General
are
is exposing himself too much. If I were him, I'll just keep silent. Let the case go on. At the end of the case, if I have submissions to make, I'll make it then. But at this point, I will not say a word. I'll leave it as it is. The case is still in court. I'll leave it as it is. When the judge suggested to him that he should recuse himself, oh no, I would do it. He took advice, I'm sure, and recused himself and left it for his deputy. If I were in his shoes, and you see, I think he's an Adisco boy. An Adisco boy. I'll advise him. Godfrey, please, just be silent. Just keep quiet. If you feel what the NDC is doing, is something that, so far as you're concerned, excuse my English, okay, I'll use the better one, makes no sense. Just keep quiet. After, if you're exonerated, then you have a press conference. Then you say whatever you have to say. At this point, what effect does it make? Does it have an effect on the judge? Are Ghanaians in court? Are Ghanaians the ones who are going to do the final judgment of the case? So what are you trying to achieve if you are not playing politics? I beg of him, he should just be silent. From this point, let's see the end of the case. Let's see the judgment that will come out. And let's take it. What if it happens that certain parts of the judgment don't go his way? What about that? So I just take what he said with a pinch of salt till I hear the final judgment.
Okay. Delali, why is your party trying to use lies and propaganda to soil the image of the Attorney General and, muddy the waters in the eyes of the public as far as this case is concerned, the ambulance case?
You see, for me, in any serious jurisdiction, in any serious democracy, by now the Attorney General would have honorably either resigned, refusal to do that. The President should have been master boldness and courage enough to show the Attorney General the exit.
Why?
And talking about who is even lying, I think this Attorney General himself, I don't know whether he appreciates the position he occupies. He's not only the Attorney General, he's a Minister for Justice. On the 24th, after that bombshell at the court, there was a statement coming from the Attorney General Department. A statement that vehemently denied ever meeting Jakpa. It was emanating from the Attorney General. Said, I have never met Jakpa. Please. A statement, even a statement that was issued from the Attorney General Department.
Well, there was a statement refuting the allegations that were made. I don't know whether or not the statements
Check 24th. Even his spokesperson granted the interview, admitted it on Joy News. 26th, the same spokesperson admitted on Joy News again that, okay, fine, there was a meeting. This time he referenced a certain Supreme Court judge house. You see the contradiction. And you see, per the Attorney General, their own legal profession, and what conduct and ethics. What does he say? That you have no right to speak to an accused person you are prosecuting without the consent of his lawyers or her lawyers. And the Attorney General, by his own admission, have admitted that indeed he met Jakpa, spoke to Jakpa on phone without the consent of his lawyer. And you, the man who is supposed to be the leader of the bar, have abused the ethics that govern the bar. The Attorney General in the recording, as we speak, you see, the Attorney General should have been man enough to have been courageous and dispute all the things he's saying in an open court and depose an affidavit and what they call answer to it. Why did he not object to it? Why did the Attorney General not object to it? Why did he not do that? He's a coward. The Attorney General is a coward. He's unconscionable for a man who is speaking to an accused person that he's prosecuting for committing a crime and trying to convince the same person you are prosecuting to commit another crime. Was telling Jakpa.
Allegedly.
Was telling Jakpa.
Allegedly.
Was telling Jakpa. But I've heard it that as we speak now, he hasn't denied it. The Attorney General has
denied it.
No, he has not.
Denied his
in the set tape, to put this in the right perspective, in the set tape, we hear Jakpa speak a lot and say certain things, about the Attorney General and what he has asked him to do and all of that. We only hear the Attorney General a few times.
No, what I'm saying is,
we only hear the Attorney General a few times, and a lot of the things that we hear is Richard Jakpa speaking.
No, but what I'm saying is,
and saying these things, and also in the WhatsApp messages that were even sent to court, as part of evidence and all of that. We see a lot of messages sent from Richard Jakpa to the Attorney General. Richard Jakpa admits that he's the one who approached the Attorney General, called the Attorney General, sent the Attorney General a lot of messages. The Attorney General's department is saying that in all of this, the Attorney General responded only twice to the over 60 messages, and all of that. So these are things which are still in court. No. The evidence is still unraveling, and so we do not know. We do not know the full facts. So everything that you say is alleged.
No, but the bit I'm talking about is
it's not been fully proven.
No, what I'm saying is this. Relative to the bit that talks about the fact that Jakpa, to forge a medical report. We heard the Attorney General loud and clear. And like lawyer said, as we speak, the Attorney General have not denied any content of the said tape. The
They said it was doctored. They are on another breath, right? You claim that something has been doctored. Produce the original one. It's the Attorney General not prosecuting the former national chairman of the NDC. Unrecorded leak tape. Is the Attorney General not doing that? You see, in any civilized society, if this Attorney General is questionable, nobody should tell this Attorney General to resign. And the Attorney General should even be a subject of an investigation. I mean, to the instance as we speak, see, Jakpa made those claims in an open court. You have what we call courts, what we call reporters, is that not it? Tell me an instance. Tell me an instances. And he said, I want this, what I'm saying, to be on record. Tell me an instances any of your reporters have said the Attorney General, right, asked that to be strike out. Or said, raise any objection in respect to that. Tell me, he's coward. The Attorney General lacked the boldness to face Jakpa in an open court. He doesn't have the courage.
Well, I mean, subsequently, he was advised by the judge not to be directly involved. And so you wouldn't have expected him to come back and come and engage in the cross-examination of Richard Jakpa. But he was in court on the day that Richard Jakpa was being cross-examined. He was in court.
But the fact of the matter is this, like I keep on saying, this is an Attorney General who is supposed to be a Minister for Justice. This is an Attorney General whose, per his legal profession, right, is governed by a conduct and the ethics of that profession. And the ethics of that profession tells you that if you are prosecuting somebody, you cannot confer with that person without the consent of his or her lawyers. And now it's obvious that the Attorney General have had an encounter with Jakpa without the consent of his lawyers. First, they said that, at the point that the Attorney General was conferring with Jakpa, he didn't have a lawyer. It has been proven that what they said is a lie from the pit of hell. I mean, you have just group of people. No wonder, see, people think that what we are dealing with, they want to reduce it to an NDC MPP affair. It will not worse. See, in any civilized society, like I said, investors will be watching Ghana. That the man who is responsible for justice is a man who is going behind the scene to procure judgment. And you think it's a small thing? These are things that drive away investors. Because no investor will want to invest in a country where the man who is supposed to be the principal legal advisor to the government, to the president, he himself, is doing everything possible to undermine the judicial system of our republic. No investor will want to invest in such a country. So if you want to belittle it and downplay it, that he's all over in the UK creating an impression that the NDC is hurt about his actions and inaction. What he has done, what the Attorney General is engaging, right? This is nothing short about somebody who is callous, an individual who is going every length and breadth to have innocent person incarcerated. And you take it, it's something we have to take in life.
And that has not been proven. These are just allegations that has been made by an accused person.
And
again, I'll emphasize that has not been proven.
I'm not disputing that, but what I'm just saying is this. In any country in the world, that belief that when it comes to the judiciary, right, it's one of the state institutions that we must protect. It's one of the state institutions that we must hold dear when it comes to practicing democracy. And I'm telling you that anywhere, Attorney General will not even spend 1 hour in that office. The Attorney General will not spend 1 hour in office. That is the reason why today as we speak, some people
are give us an instance. Where? Which country?
See, that is why we are saying.
Has that happened?
Oh, why? You think there's an instances
you will have your turn. Allow the Lally to
think there's an instances where an Attorney General and Minister of Justice have decided to go and engage an accused person is prosecuted to lie, asking the accused person to lie, asking the accused person to forge a document and send it and present it to a judge. Where have you even seen this thing? It's only in Ghana that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo that you witness this kind of, excuse me to say, unprofessional misconduct by the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana. No wonder people are now even going to the extent that all the cases that he has got, all the cases that he has prosecuted, it should be a subject of a review. Because people are beginning to raise questions. How did the Attorney General even get these cases, what do you call it, prosecuted? Is it the same, what do you call, style? Is it the same strategy? That's what people are raising the questions. Because you should be here and be condemning it. That somebody, right, all of it, engage Jakpa. For what? Why was he engaging Jakpa for? That I want you. You are not my target. The target is Honorable Atuforsen. President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo is breathing on my neck. They want Atuforsen to be prosecuted.
Why are you getting this?
And on the basis of that, the Attorney General throw his
That's a testimony of it.
Exactly. The Attorney General throw his professional ethics to the dogs and said, I want to go after somebody. I want to persecute somebody because the president is asking me to do that. What? If you're an Attorney General and you believe in your case, you prosecute it in court. You don't go behind the scene trying to manipulate evidence. That is what the Attorney General was involved in. If you're an attorney, this will not be the first time, Lantam. If you're an Attorney General, right, and you are blessed with a fact, and you realize that this case, on the basis of the evidence before me, is a case that when I decide to pursue, I'll not be able to what we call get judgment. This will not be the first time an Attorney General will enter nolli prosequi. We have seen Attorney Generals in this country. We have seen the lives of Martin Amidu. We have seen the lives of what we call it, what do you call it? Betty Bodidrisu. We have seen the lives of Herita Briopon. We have seen the lives of what we call Jogati. We have seen even the lives of Nana Danko Akufo-Addo. We have seen the lives of Ayikotu. None of them have demonstrated this level of an act that is so irresponsible of somebody who occupies a very sensitive position like the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. If you sit down here and you want to make what do you call it, you want to downplay it. It's not about Delali, it's not about the NDC or MPP. It's about an investor that is watching you this morning, trying to downplay that somebody who is responsible for justice in this country can go behind the scene and get an accused person because he wants to go every means possible and have an innocent man put behind bar.
All right.
No human being, no investor will want to invest in such a country.
All right. Well, let me come to you now, on this. I mean, I've heard many people in the legal profession say, I mean, in an instance like this, the Attorney General should even have stepped down, from his position as Attorney General and allow certain investigative processes to go, because his conduct on the face of it, with the tape, that has been heard by a lot of people by now, borders on misconduct and is worth looking into. And here we have the Attorney General, going around in UK, calling what the NDC is doing lies and what have you, when the case, has really not come to a conclusion.
So, if an accused person accuse a prosecutor of any wrongdoing, the prosecutor should be asked to leave the case. Which case will be prosecuted in this country then?
No, the prosecutor has not been asked to leave the case. The Attorney General operates the Attorney General
You were
department.
mentioning that
the Attorney General himself.
So he should be allowed to go. So
his
that
deputy has been going to court on his behalf.
So
there are other
let me
lawyers
start.
that have been going to court on his behalf. But the Attorney General himself is a subject matter in here.
Mr. Jantua is saying that the Attorney General should keep quiet. This case started in 2021. Have you ever heard Attorney General talk about this case before? Since 2021? No. It is about a month or two ago. 2021.
When did the case come to court?
Yes, 2021. Check the facts. Sure? Yes. The prosecution started in 2021. 2 months, 2 months to today, just 2 months ago, the NBC assembled their propagandists to court. And in court, after the case, Sami Jenfi came out, spewed lies and distorted facts.
How?
And you think the Attorney General should keep quiet?
How? There was a testimony by the accused person in open court, directly accusing the Attorney General of orchestrating or trying to get Case Atuforsen convicted, and he wanted that to be on record.
Yeah.
And that is what sparked whatever conversation we are having now, because a witness and one of the main people involved in this case made those allegations in open court against the Attorney General.
Let me repeat this. I said the case started in 2021.
Yes.
There was no instance that the NDC went to court and came out to organize press conference.
There was a pop shell.
I'm coming. It started in 2021. Just 2 months ago.
It didn't start in 2021. It started on June 4th, 2024.
The case.
That's a lie.
No, the ambulance case has been.
That's a lie.
But quite some time. No. With what you are
the ambulance case is 2021.
That has got to do with
The
this
bombshell.
bombshell. But the ambulance case, Lato Forsen, has been prosecuted since 2021.
2021.
That case has been in
The
court.
case started in 2021. The attorney general has never spoken about it until Sami Gyamfi came to distort facts.
What fact?
And spew lies.
How? What facts and lies
One.
are you talking about?
When you just last week, I listened to your court correspondent, IB, right? He said that.
Our court correspondent is Mutala.
Mutala, right? Yes. He said, out of the 68 messages that came between Attorney General and Japa, the Attorney General has responded only twice, and this was admitted in court. That's
Yes.
one. Two is that Japa was the first person to contact Attorney General, and that is also a fact and admitted in court.
Yes.
So the lies by Sami Gyamfi that he's been calling Japa for Japa to incriminate Attorney General, I don't know lies.
No, but that is the testimony of Richard Japa.
I'm saying that.
But
the same that
Richard Japa in court.
So in court he has admitted.
No, Richard Japa in court admitted that he was the first person to contact.
But Sami
the
Gyamfi
Attorney
told
General.
us that.
And subsequently they have been in contact. So subsequently we don't
Gyamfi-
know if the Attorney General has also been calling Richard
Sami
Japa
Gyamfi
or not.
Sami
And that is
Gyamfi
what Sami
and-
Gyamfi was
Sami
speaking to.
Gyamfi and Asiedun Ketia said that the Attorney General has been calling.
Yes.
And in court, Japa says he has been texting the man, and the man has only responded twice out of the 68. Why was he running away
But
from
he
the
says
messages?
he's been calling.
Why was he running away from
But the
messages?
same man says that the Attorney
I'm
General has
saying
been
that.
calling.
Why was he?
You know, let's separate the issues. Let's separate the issues. There is the issue of a constant communication between Richard Japa and the Attorney General, and there is also the issue of
There was no constant communication.
And there is
because
also
someone
there is
has
also-
sent me a
hold on,
message. 68
hold on.
messages. I have responded only twice.
Hold on. There is the issue of a communication, a constant communication, according to Richard Japa, between himself and the Attorney General on many occasions. This is an allegation that he made in open court on record. And then there is the issue of who contacted who first,
And who was that?
which Richard Japa has admitted that he is the one who first contacted the Attorney General, but subsequently they have been engaged in communication.
That is yet to be
Let's
unraveled.
settle that.
No,
But Richard Japa has said it.
I'm saying that
Richard Japa
all the
said it.
things he has said, now it is the turn of the state to do cross-examination. And that is what the Attorney General is saying, that when cross-examination started, the lies by the NDC has been exposed to the extent that now Sami Gyamfi is running away from the court. Why didn't he go? The last two
He's out
seconds.
of the jurisdiction means that he-
Why didn't he go? He was the lead person who will come out and do press conferences and distort facts.
What fact?
Now, when Japa admitted,
jurisdiction. What do you mean by he's running away?
that he was the first to contact the Attorney General, that's one. When Japa admitted that he has sent 68 messages to the Attorney General, he has responded only twice. When Tadiosori, Japa's lawyer, was preventing the Attorney General from tendering in the 68 messages in court, that is when you know that the NDC lies has been exposed. Where are the rest of the tapes? Sami Gyamfi promises that there are a lot of tapes.
but did
We're
you-
waiting for the tape. Where are the tapes?
Where is the video the attorney
Where are the
Where is the
tapes?
video the attorney general said he
You
had?
see
with,
the lies of the NDC, and you think
Where is that video?
we should be quiet? You think at the Attorney General
The
should be
attorney general said he
quiet
has a
on these
video with
things?
Atufosi on
When
CCTV.
they
Where is
set
it?
to spew lies.
Where is the video? The attorney general video he said he had.
No, but
Where is
isn't it a bit curious also a while, you know, how this whole thing played out, you know, the first response by the Attorney General's department and the subsequent, you know, sort of shifting of the goalposts, admitting here and there, you know, there are also allegations.
shifting
There
of
are
the
also
goalposts is being done
allegations
by the NDC
I mean,
because-
and we also heard the Attorney General clearly in the tape, and this is what a lot of lawyers allude to, you know, speaking to somebody and saying, okay, you can go for a doctor's report so that we can delay, and then later you can come so that I can be in court and all of that. All of these are things that people say it borders on misconduct.
It
And the
doesn't
Attorney
have any
General
bearing on the
it has to.
case.
What? It doesn't have
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
it doesn't have any bearing
Well,
on the facts of the case presented
So you think
before
what
the
you're saying?
court.
But
So is it okay? Wow. Are you saying that it's okay? Are you a lawyer that it is okay?
If you admit exhibit,
Hold on.
you as a lawyer know that if you admit,
But you objected to it. One voice, gentlemen. One voice. You objected to it. One voice. Wow. So I mean,
You are impossible.
all the allegations that are being
part
made
of evidence.
by Richard Jakpa, you
Yes.
know, is in relation to all of this.
Yes.
Maybe that particular portion may not have been admitted, but that is an issue that people are raising about that borders on misconduct, because as the Attorney General, you shouldn't be seen or even heard to be doing that.
to be doing what?
And we've heard the Attorney General do that.
The Attorney
And
General is
we've
telling
heard
you
the
that.
tape. And he has not denied
The Attorney
that he's the
General-
one on the
what-
tape
what-
saying those things that he was
The
saying.
Attorney General is saying that the tape is doctored. The voice is his. The tape is doctored. And it will be unraveled when cross-examination ends. And that is what we have started.
And has it been
has not
unraveled?
yes, it has.
Has it been
It has
unraveled?
started trickling out. Because
it
at
has
least
not been
we
unraveled,
have-
has it?
No, but you see, they have started cross-examination. I think today they will still go to court. They have started cross-examination by the state. And they will ask him everything that he has said that has been admitted under oath will be asked, and he will be disgraced. Let me put that way. Japa will be disgraced because he has started suffering disgrace from last week. When the NDC were even right now sitting here telling us that the Attorney General has been engaging him, when the man said he has been engaging the Attorney General, and the Attorney General has not even been responding.
But he can't respond because he fear. He's not courageous
Lantam,
enough.
the case is not true. We have only one case. The allegation by Japa is a red herring. It does not really take anything away from the fact that Japa and the Atoforsen brought in some rickety ambulances that was rejected by their own ministers, to the extent that Japa said that Sherry Aite was evil. She was your minister, the late Sherry Aite. He said she was evil. He said it in open court because they did
What
not
is the
really
bearing in
admit
this?
the rickety ambulances, the rickety 207 buses that they imported in this country. They have caused financial loss to the state. They are standing trial on causing financial loss to the state.
All right.
When you throw allegations
Which
against
you need
someone,
to use
it
the
should be
back door.
separated. It should be separate from the case.
Which you need to use
They
the back door,
know
engage
that
in
the
criminal
man
act.
is guilty, so
Engage
they
in
will want
criminal
to
act.
bring all these red herrings, so that at least the case will not continue. The case will continue in court.
You claim to have a solid case, but you are prosecuting, you are
The case
portraying
will
evidence behind
continue in
it.
court. There will not be any stall on this case. The red herring. But these allegations will be allowed
At the end of the day, like you said, you know, yes, all will be unraveled, you
Exactly.
know, in court, and so we'll see how it all plays out. But thank you very much. We'll have to end the breakfast review here. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here in the studio. Mr. Kwame Jantwa is a member of the CPP. He's a legal practitioner as well. Mr. Jantwa, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Delali Sawokbo is a member of the NDC's communications team. Thank you very much, Delali, for joining us here in the studio. And Awal Mohammed, happy birthday. It is his birthday.
Okay, happy birthday.
Awal Mohammed is celebrating his birthday today. So
I don't really celebrate.
You don't celebrate
I've
birthday?
never celebrated it.
You never brought us meat salad.
No, I've never celebrated it.
You never
Why?
brought
I
us meat
think every
salad.
day is worth celebrating
Okay.
because as a Muslim, I believe that even to live after the next 1 hour is worth celebrating. That's why I pray 5 times a day.
Okay.
And so
But we are still wishing you happy birthday.
Thank
we
you
are
so
still-
much.
we are
Thank
still-
you.
we are
I've
still waiting for our
celebrated it.
meat.
Yes, yes.
We
Thank
are
you
still
so
waiting
much.
for our meat for salad.
Mr. Jantwa is waiting for his salad.
I'm waiting for my salad meat.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Stay tuned. There's still more to come here on GH Today. We'll be back. Welcome back to the show. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. Thank you very much for staying tuned. And it's time for us to have our next conversation. Let's talk about some of the victims of the banking sector cleanup, or should I say the financial sector cleanup that was done by governments. There are many people who have become victims because they invested in certain financial institutions, and after the cleanup was done, their monies have been locked up. They've not been able to get their monies, and a lot of them have been complaining, they have been protesting, and they have been calling on governments to do something about the situation. We have, the bondholders who have been picketing at the finance ministry, among other things. I mean, we have a host of other people, Gold Coast fund management customers, among other things. So there are quite a number of them, right? And very recently, we've heard the finance minister announce that some 1.5 billion has been released. By October, it will be released fully. And some of these individuals who have suffered as a result of the banking sector cleanup will get some respite. I've been joined in the studio by the president of, or should I say the convener of the Aggrieved Customers of Gold Coast Fund Management, in the person of Mr. Charles Nyame. He's here with us here in the studio today. And we'll have a conversation about all of these issues and more. Mr. Nyame, good morning.
Good morning, Lantam.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you here in the studio.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, and I hope you're doing well.
By God's grace, we can't complain much.
Let me ask you what you made of the finance minister's announcements in the UK that some 1.5 billion is being released for those who have suffered as a result of the financial sector cleanup. I mean, surely this should be good news for you and some of your members, because some of you will get respite, isn't it?
Not entirely good news to us. In as much as we deem this step from the government as a commitment at their side, we are also much disappointed in the government of the announcement of the 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. We are disappointed in the sense that these monies have been locked up for over 6 years now.
That's those who invested in Gold Coast.
Those who invested
or
in the
generally the financial sector.
The financial sector.
Right.
These monies have been locked up for 6 years now, over 6 years now. And these money were sent by individual Ghanaians into these financial institutions for investment sake, to get profit, not to lose its value. Because of the actions and inactions of both government regulators and the fund managers, we are here. We are where we are today. And government taking over the liability to pay us has taken the government 6 years, in spite of the government getting all the approvals of the allocations that they made in the 2020 mid-year budget and 2021 main budget, which summed the total amount to pay all victims of financial cleanup exercise to, let me say, 25 billion, which the finance minister, the former finance minister, let me say the finance ministry, have sent a report that is in 2022 to the House of Parliament that the approval that they gave for these 25 billion to be spent in paying the victims of financial cleanup exercise have been disbursed, meaning they have paid everybody in full. So how come they keep on allocating monies in subsequent budgets? Let's talk of the 2024 budget, that's 4 billion to pay us again. We want the parliament to probe into this, because full bailout package was approved for every customer. Report has been brought back to the parliament that we have disbursed this amount. Why then are we crying for our money again? Now, let's put that aside. Government has reallocated 4 billion in the 2024 budget for our payments. Parliament has approved it again. So why is the finance minister coming out to announce 1.5 billion, knowing that it has been 6 years and the least they could do is to pay these depreciated funds in full? When you look at time value for money and the depreciation and all that, the money's value has been depreciated up to 75%. So if the money was worth 20 Ghana cedis in 2020 and 2018, now it's worth 5 Ghana cedis. And that alone, the government doesn't want to pay in full, in spite of getting parliamentary approval from the budgetary allocation. So is it a deliberate attempt for the government to maltreat its citizens? Or is it that the government is so insensitive that it cannot read through the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian? As we are talking now, we've had over 900 of our customers die. They are dead and gone, and most of them are the aged. When you listen to the narrative behind their death, you realize that most of them were having medical conditions. You and I will agree that when you grow, the health deteriorates, and you need a lot of medical attention to keep you in shape. These people worked for years, and they saved their money for the rainy day. And because they couldn't access these monies that was meant to take care of their periodic medical cares and whatever, some of them knew they were going to die without medical care, and they sat aloof and died because of some decision of a certain government. And if among all these ordeals, the government cannot see and respond positively to resolve these problems once and for all. You see, some of the comments that the finance minister made when he was announcing this allocation is quite below belt. And a smart politician going into an election, such comments shouldn't be coming from the finance minister, Honorable Muhammad Amin Adam.
Which comment are you talking about exactly? Because he talked about, I think he alluded to the fact that this is not the entire amount. And about 4 billion is needed, but an amount of 1.5 billion is going to be released. I mean, he went on further to say that, of course, if Dr. Bawumia is elected, of course, there will be a top-up. The rest of the money will come. And so which comments of the finance minister are you exactly alluding to that he shouldn't be saying?
Just one is what you've just mentioned, that if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia wins the election, he will come and pay the rest. Listen, you have gone for taxpayers' money. You have gone for approval. You've made an allocation in the budget. Parliament has approved the allocation. You hold the money in one hand, and you want to use us as election slaves, threatening us that if we want the full package of the approved amount to be paid to us, then we should vote for your candidate, else the monies won't be paid. A smart politician shouldn't go that way at all. Come to think of it, these monies are not his own pocket money. These are taxpayers' money, and it has been approved of. So why should you place in conditions that unless we vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, these monies will be disbursed? But we are assuring them, we are assuring the finance minister that if that is the condition that he's placing in, then we want to assure him that if our monies are not paid, we'll make sure that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia loses this election miserably. We have the numbers. Gold Coast Fund Management customers alone, we have the numbers. We are 61,000 across the nation.
61,000
across the nation.
And you mobilize each and every single one to vote against Dr. Bawumia?
Not just that.
If your monies are not paid?
Not just that. Because if you look at the age brackets for Gold Coast Fund Management customers, it ranges from 40s to 80, 90. Almost everyone has a wife or a husband. Most of them have children that votes. And some of us were taking care of our nephews, were supporting our sisters, our brothers. Our wives and husbands also have families that have been affected because they were getting some support, some sort of support from us. So should we propagate this gospel and we win 20 desirable to each customer, more, just do the calculation, 20 by 61,000. In Ashanti region alone, we are over 10,000. And you and I would attest to the fact that when you have 100 voters in Ashanti region, you will have not less than 60 or 70 of these 100 voters voting in the NPP direction. I don't think there is any customer who have had his money locked up for the past 6 years and has gone through this ordeal that will love the NPP party more than his very livelihood. That will love the NPP party more than his or her daily bread. That will cherish the NPP. You see, there are even children of these victims of locked up funds, their parents invested towards their tertiary education because they knew that if it happens to them abruptly, there's no way they could afford it. So for years, they made lifetime savings towards their children's education. for 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, even 6 years, some of these children have completed their secondary education, and their only hope is that one day the government will release the funds so that their parents can take them to the universities, the nursing trainees, and the what have you. Their hopes depend on the decision of Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. And if you come back to tell this child, this parent, that unless you vote for Dr. Mahmood Bawumia, your children will not, your child will not get the money that you have saved for to go to university. Are you not whetting their anger appetite? So that comment is unfortunate. And again, the Honorable Minister also said that the government must not be blamed for individual investment decision. And for that matter, the government is doing this payment on the grounds of
humanitarian grounds.
Humanitarian grounds. That comment too suggests that the Honorable Minister doesn't know what he's talking about. We pardon him for that. Maybe he's new in the office, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. Forgetting that this financial cleanup exercise is a policy, a well thought through policy of Akufo-Addo government. It was not just anything, it was a policy. Meaning they counted the risk was counted for, the cost was counted for, and they knew the ripple effects. That's why they came out with these assurances that, oh, the government will pay everybody. Before even they implemented this policy, there was a lot of assurances preluded it, that the government is going to pay everybody. We should be rest assured no customer or depositor will lose any of his or her deposit. These were the assurances, meaning that they've counted for the loss, and truly they did. That's the reason why they made this budgetary allocation, went for approval, mobilized the money, and they know where they took the money to. And because we are in a country that no one cares, the very people who have the mandate to probe and ask questions, the parliament, they are not doing it. We don't care about that. All that we care is that the new allocation, the 4 billion that has been allocated in this year budget, should be released in full and pay the customers in full. Because we will not accept any half payments. Though we will collect the money, but we still go back and do whatever we need to do.
And what is that?
We have already said it, that we are going to make sure that Dr. Mahmood Bawumia, if he's saying that unless we vote for him, he will not pay, then we also tell him that unless he pays...
say he's paying some, and if you vote for him, more will come.
The fact is that allocation has been made, approval has been taken. What stops you from paying now? Are you going to use us as election slaves for you to win power?
Oh, but you know the government is cash strapped. I mean, we've just completed a debt.
We don't know. We don't know that.
You know,
no,
other things.
We don't know that, and we cannot accept that. I don't want to mention certain things, but the government has its own priorities, like the football and other things. When it gets to that turn, the government is not cash strapped. But when it gets to when people have worked over the years and have saved their lifetime investment for rainy days, then you are cash strapped. If the government is cash strapped, are they not receiving the allowances? They are still receiving the allowances. They are not being affected. So why should we be affected with allocation that has been made and approved for our payment? So we are not accepting any halfway payment, and we will go and sit home and keep quiet for them to bully us through these elections again. No. We will also do our part in this election. If they don't want to have the Gold Coast Fund Management customers as another political force to deal with in going into these elections, they should do the needful.
Is that what you're going to turn yourself into, a political force?
Because we have been affected by a political decision. And there is nothing wrong if we turn into a political force to deal with the very political thoughts that put us through this ordeal.
So how are you going to do this? Are you going to start running a campaign among, I mean, you lead the association, right? So are you going to start running a campaign among all members of the association to vote against the MPP because your monies have not been paid?
We have made this clear already to the government. What we are going to do is we will organize ourselves as a political body or a political group. Let me say a political group, not a party, not a political party.
But a political group.
A political group. and we will have our fair share in this year's campaign. We are not just going to campaign for people to vote against the NPP and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Together with our family and our loved ones, are going to vote against them. And I've done the simple calculation to you.
Vote against them.
Vote against them. Together with their parliamentary candidates.
Are you going to vote for another candidate, a particular candidate? Are you going to throw your support behind a particular candidate?
It is too early to make that decision because we believe that between now and the election, they have about 6 months to come back and make rules. So it will be too early to decide to join political party A or B. But when it gets to the crunch and they have not done the needful, all we need is for them to go out of power. And if it takes that, we should associate ourselves in the 11th hour to any political body which we feel that supporting them, they will come to power, we will do.
Then you have the full support of your members on this position?
Sure. You see, people are going through a hell of time. Do you know that one man has 2 million Ghana cedis in these locked up funds? And for about 2 years now, whenever he goes for his eye checkup, I have to send him 50 cedis to buy eye drop. You can imagine.
You can't get even 50 cedis to buy eye drops. But he has 2 million Ghana cedis.
2 million. So such a person, you come to tell that person that I've gotten approval, I've made allocation, I've gotten the approval from the parliament, I've raised the funds, but vote for Bawumia, else we won't pay you. You see, it's quite funny. So we have the full support of the members, and we are going to do just that if they don't come back and do the needful.
Okay, very well. I would love to wrap in our conversation here. Is there anything that you'd like to say finally before we wrap this up?
Yes. If the government, the president or anyone close to the president and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is listening, we are telling them that it is mandatory for them to resolve this financial cleanup policy mess. If I say resolve, they should pay every victim before we go into the 2024 elections. They shouldn't base it on a condition that whether they win or they lose. Because let me tell you, history are made. And if they don't correct this, they will leave a very bad mark in the minds of people and people's grandchildren that they could have had a better life, but for the decision of the Akufo-Addo government, they did not. So they should make sure that they resolve this mess, not for political gains only, but for posterity's sake, to clear their name that though the mess was created, but it was resolved before either they left power or they regained power. That's what I would like to tell.
Very well, Mr. Nyame. Grateful that you joined us here in the studio.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And we wish you all the best. And we hope that your funds are paid. We really hope that the government is able to do the needful and pay you the monies that are supposed to be paid. Mr. Charles Nyame, thank you very much.
Thank you too
for joining us here in the studio. Mr. Charles Nyame is the convener of the Aggrieved Customers of Gold Coast Fund Management, joining us in the studio. And this is where we'll have to be wrapping up the show. But before we do, we've got a few birthday wishes. And on that birthday note, we'll say goodbye to you for today's edition of GH Today here on GH1 Television. My name is Lantam Papanko. You have a good day.